welcome. So today I have the pleasure of welcoming back Khedun. Raj and I had an interview, a podcast recording that is going to go live soon, months ago. And he shared something that was incredible. And I have practiced what was shared since that day, especially given a busy schedule. And I can attest that it works. It centers me and grounds me. So he's here again, um, this time on live, to discuss what it is that we talked about and how this can be impactful in people's lives around the world. And he's doing incredible things. So, hi, Raj. Welcome and introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously a pleasure to be here again with you and to share some insights outside of the box
Yeah.
and to really give some people some new ideas and new sort of neurotechnology. It's an exciting area that we're getting into, which is changing people's lives quicker than ever. Um, so yeah, shall I start with a bit of a backstory or
Yes, please, if you don't
yeah?
mind. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So it all started when I was 3 years old. My mother takes me to the nursery for the first time in London, where I'm born. We're pottering around the library, as you do, having a look, and then I'm in this library bookshelf, and I take two books off the shelves. The first book was about dinosaurs, and the second book was about planets.
Mm.
And I don't know why I just resonated. I just was magnetically drawn to pick up these out of all the Thomas the Tank Engine and the Mr. Happy and the Mr. Sad and all those books that you have for kids. I didn't touch that. Um, so I looked at these books and these images of dinosaurs and planets was etched on my mind from that moment.
Right.
So they have shaped my entire like navigation through life more than my ordinary education did. Because you go through history, you go through social sciences, you go through geography, history, and all these subjects, but they may not make an impact on you. They may not impress you that much. But the dinosaurs and the planets things definitely did make a huge impact on me. So the dinosaurs thing was all about evolution,
Okay.
about how do animals evolve from less intelligent to more intelligent,
Okay.
to less communicative to now more communicative, to being an isolated lone wolf, lone warrior, to being in a group of like a pride or a shoal or a crowd that cooperate together. How does that happen? How does the brain develop? How does the sentiency develop? How do they become more advanced? So that was the animal side of things. And how do humans now evolve?
Mm.
Right? Look at animals, you look at nature, and then you say, well, what's it like when it comes to humans? Do we have the ability to self-evolve or not? Right? So this became an all-consuming obsession for me since the age of 3. Uh, yeah.
So, was there anybody around you that shared maybe similar curiosity? Because sometimes it gets easier if you have people within, especially as a child, people within your immediate family or community who share the same curiosity. So you kind of like fit in and you're not kind of like the sore thumb that sticks out. So, was there anybody within your community that shared similar interest or curiosity?
Um, I don't think so. Not really. Not to the extent that I wanted to learn.
Okay.
Um, and the planets thing was about, again, have all these amazing planets in the solar system. You have Jupiter, you have Saturn, you have Venus, you have Mercury, you have Mars. But then what are those planets actually doing there? What are they doing? It's amazing. Yeah. On Mars, we've got robots roaming around Mars. They've been there for the last 12 years,
Right.
looking at. You see, the surface of Mars is red. The sky is red. There's no water on it. There's no plants. There's no skeletal remains. So why is there an empty planet there? think about it, right? And then it's just, these kind of ideas were just whirring in my mind, like, and I just kept thinking about it for years. So that, as well as evolution, now how does the environment affect us? Does it have an impact on us vibrationally, frequency wise? What's actually happening in human nature from stellar forces out there?
What did you find out? And at
It's
what age, Raj?
I was 3 when I started thinking about these
I
things.
understand that, but where did your curiosity start making sense? You started it at the age of 3 with the dinosaur on the planet, right? Where did your curiosity with the energy and how it affects us as humans or living beings, I should say, when it comes to our health, our well-being, our functionality? When did it all start making sense? Was like, okay, I was curious, but oh my goodness, this is what is happening.
Yeah. You go through your schooling process and your integration into society, and then you become hemmed in by certain limitations
Mm.
because of what they think and what they tell you. You now begin to assume that it's true. And that's dangerous because, um, you go to the gym, you do workouts, you do sports and stuff. And when you get injured or something happens or you get ill, you think, this is what the normal medical science says. You can do this, but you can't do that. You can do this, but you can't do that. And I used to think to myself, is it them who's telling me I can't do it? So I can't do it because I believe what they say? Or is it intrinsically, as a human being, independent of anyone and everyone else? Is there something else better I can do? See, that's where the curiosity question comes in about, okay, what is the mind? What is the mind's role in all of this? Do we have more power that we can tap into that we are not being taught by the system that we're brought up in? That's where, go through my schooling, I used to think the doctor would tell me, oh, you're sick because of bacteria and virus. And I'm thinking, well, you're not sick. So why are you saying that I'm sick and you're not sick? So why don't you tell me what you do to stay well and I just copy you so I don't get sick, right? But oh no, I'm a doctor, you see. I'm a doctor. I wear a white coat. So of course I'm correct. And obviously you're sick, so you come to see me. I haven't come to see you. This dichotomy, I was very uncomfortable with it,
Okay.
right? I said, hang on, why can't I sit in that seat? Why do I have to be the victim of this disease or this virus or this, flu, influenza, or whatever? I don't like it. So I started tapping into and started to explore, like, where does energy come from?
Okay.
How much of it do we have? Can we tap into more of it if we want to? Is it an option? So I started studying yoga, metaphysics, things like chakras and kundalini and all these things to realize that where does the real power, the energy come from?
Mm. So
So,
was it easier to exist in a world where you were told, the do's and don'ts, as opposed to studying? Because studying takes energy. It takes being purposeful, right? With your journey with studying yoga, how far did that take you? What was that journey like? Was it all you expected it to be? Did you find surprises along the way? What was that journey like for you?
well, there was a pivotal point when I was 18 years old.
Mm.
My mother takes me to India for the first time. And I met what we call an avatar, like a full blown avatar, right? And if you've watched James Cameron's film Avatar or the Nickelodeon or now Netflix show Avatar Last Airbender, you get a sense of what the concept of an avatar is. And it's basically a very high vibrational being incarnate in human form. For a
Mm.
particular reason, for a particular mission, for a particular purpose, right? And I was in the presence of one such avatar, like a huge one. I know it sounds unbelievable, but His name's Satya Sai Baba. You can look him up on YouTube. He exists. And when I was in the presence of that electromagnetic power, which was infinite, unending, it just completely switched my mind. Right? Completely turned my life upside down. Because then I realized all the things I'd learned in books, from school, from society, from even teachers and doctors and so on, was very, very limited compared to what we really could do and what we really have as our potential. So then I had to go back to zero. Like I had to admit I didn't know anything about where am I from, who am I, where have I come from, where am I going, what happens when you die. Um, how is this earth made? I don't know anything. I can't answer anything conclusively about anything. So when you go to places like India, or you mix with yogis who have real self-knowledge, then you can begin to practice similar things that they do, and then you get the insights for yourself. So yeah, man, it's a journey, isn't it?
So how long was your practice and learning experience, when you were learning from the yogis themselves in India?
I studied for best part of 25 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is. During that time, you have to remove other distractions that might interfere with your learning. For example, newspapers, TV, radio, lots of endless advertising. In London, where I live, oh my God, it's full of that, right? All day long. KFC, McDonald's, these are American companies, by the way. Massive global impact. And, Hollywood, MCU, all these films, superhero films, it's all over the buses, it's all over the transport, it's everywhere. And I had to kind of keep away from the social narrative,
Mm.
because you go watch a Harry Potter film, yeah, or you go watch a superhero Marvel film, and then you go in a cinema, you pay your $15 or your $20, have your popcorn, drink your Coca-Cola, again American, yeah, again American, and you think to yourself, I have to go back to my boring life after this amazing film, right? Back to my boring life, my humdrum, me, well, I'm stuck in a job, I'm stuck in this education system, yeah, I'm stuck, I'm ill, my mum's ill, my brother is ADHD or whatever. And you're like, why can't my life be like what I see on the film? Why can't I be a superhero?
Is that possible, Raj?
Uh-huh.
Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely it
So,
is.
some people listening to us may think that is a far fetched idea. So, how do you explain that to them?
It's only far-fetched if you think it's far-fetched.
Hmm.
If you want to live a different kind of life, just study on YouTube. There's endless, people who live outside of the box, who have larger than life characteristics, like The Rock or Tony Robbins, or another great sales guy, Andy Elliott, David Goggins. These people with much stronger understanding of principles that they've applied for more years than most people. So they understand from the ground roots level, when they had nothing, no followers, really bad circumstances, they were forced to dig into their own inner resources to find answers to problems, serious problems they had. And I think it's like the warrior's journey. You go on a journey, you build yourself up from within, thought by thought, breath by breath, day by day, over a period of time. Could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 5 years, could be 10 years, right? But they've all gone through this amazing journey of transformation. And anyone can do that. It's just, it's difficult if you're not willing to understand how to break it down into step by step, actions.
Yeah.
But people like Joe Dispenza, you know, um, they're talking about it all the time. Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. They're like the three musketeers of metaphysics on all over YouTube now, right? Can learn from those guys. They bailed out of the conventional education system because they said, what you're teaching these people is not going to serve them when they get older. You're teaching them the wrong ideas that are not going to help society because everybody's still going to be stuck at this low level with all the problems that come with that. And by now, we should all be way ahead of this. But there are some powers that be, call it the pharmaceutical industry or the education system or the government, whatever, they don't necessarily want you to fulfill your potential, right? Because now you're going to give them a headache that you're thinking outside the box, and they like, I don't understand this guy. Like, what's he doing? But listen, humanity has to evolve. They have to move forwards. We have to diminish more problems and experience more joy and happiness and expansion. That's a fact. Whether you get it from Idongesit, whether you get it from me, whether you get it from David Goggins, whether you get it from Joel Osteen or John Maxwell or other great preachers and entrepreneurial people who are Christians, strong Christians as well, or spiritual. You've got to get it from somewhere.
Yeah.
The plan is growth in all areas of life. So you can't sit under a rock and hide in the dark. You've got to move towards the light. You've got to grow. You've got to expand. And that means you shouldn't be scared of growth because that means improvements in everything. In all the 5 life areas. There's 5. We have 5 fingers, right? So it's easy to remember 5 life areas as well. Right? We have 5 elements. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Right? So it's the same 5 again. Right? So the 5 life areas are health, wealth, relationships, mind power, and spirituality, or your connection with God, the universe, the force, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, right? Those 5 things exist for everyone. Mm. It doesn't matter how much I fight against it, it's not going to change a thing. Right? So the best thing to do is to understand this is built into life, into the cosmos, into humans, and just understand how it works. Then you can live your ideal life and help other people live their ideal life also. Absolutely. We all grow together. That's the plan. And if anyone wants to fight against that, well, good luck.
So it's not necessarily fight, Raj, because I was so bombarded with so much that, I know you mentioned YouTube, and there's so much on YouTube as well. So it can get overwhelming for some people, right? So if somebody is interested listening to us today and they just want some form of a direction, a map to begin this journey and be direct their life in a direction that they really want to go, who, if they're interested in working with you, Raj, how do they find you or anybody else that speaks to the inner being in a sense?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, people contact us via keepfitkingdom.com. So keepfitkingdom.com. On there's a page called the 3-3 Insomnia Hack. And when they click that, they get access to, there's lots of testimonials from the NHS, the National Health Service, Novartis, which is a huge medical company, Larry Ellison's software company from you guys, right? They've all tried our method and they're just amazed at how quick and how easy it is to bring people into a flow state, to make them feel positive, to make them feel emotionally well, to diminish stress quickly, and to diminish sleeplessness quickly, without drugs, without side effects, without doctors, without tests. So they can go on there. There's a tutorial they can buy as well, where they can learn the whole method. And a lot of people like to integrate it into their lives further, into their relationships, into their health, into their work, or whatever it is they're trying to do. They can pull the 3-3 metaverse breathing method into all areas of life. And we do private one-to-one coaching as well, do Zoom calls, we do getting invitations to do public speaking gigs and things like that. So yeah, does that help answer your question where to find us?
It does answer the question. So, you know, we're talking about metaphysics. So, again, something that somebody might add, we're going to go in and see, what comments we have on social media platforms shortly. But metaphysics is not something that everybody quite understands or feels comfortable with kind of delving into because of maybe religious practices and teachings that they are used to or they've had all their lives. So, what would you say to somebody who may be interested or may be curious, however, they may feel like it conflicts with their religious beliefs?
That's a good question. Luckily, that's a great question. And luckily, I've studied religion intensively. Yeah, everybody who knows me knows that I study religion, whether it's Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity. We're all big fans of Jesus, by the way. Yeah, just so you know. Judaism, Kabbalah, Islam, the Quran, all religions, because they all have an underpinning of just two things which exist in the cosmos, in the universe. All right. It doesn't matter what I think. Yeah, I did not create this. I didn't make the rules either. So if you understand the very core basics, there's only two things that exist in the universe. One is consciousness, and the other one is energy. Everything created that was ever created and ever will be created is made up of these two things. And that's it. Everything else is a variation on the same theme. Whether it's a plant, a gem, a human being, a dolphin, a dinosaur, a planet, whatever it is, it's only made of these two things, consciousness and energy. But the amazing thing about energy is that it's infinite and as varied as you want. So in lens of combinations like chemicals in a laboratory, there's so many chemical combinations you can put together to create almost anything.
Right.
So in the same way, energy is the same. It can create anything from anything depending on the rate of vibration and frequency that you're using it from. So people, to answer your question, people can reach out to us, tell us what their problem is. What are they trying to fix? What are they trying to improve? What do they want to transform? What do they want to learn? And we can take them through a process step by step to show them this is where you are, this is what you want. We'll build a bridge to quickly get you to where you want to be. So we break everything down into steps, and along that process, you need to learn and understand what you're doing. That conscious process. You can say it's painful, it's not painful, whatever you want to say, but you need to learn. You have to learn things. It's a conscious process. You can't be unconscious with your eyes closed in life, just floating about. That's not, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So because we're very compassionate and we understand all the challenges that all kinds of people go through, whether you were neglected or abandoned as a child, or you were abused, or you had a privileged upbringing, but you had a surfeit of money, you had a surfeit of luxuries, and now you've trapped yourself in a sensory hedonistic lifestyle, and now you've got addictions. We understand all of that, right? So wherever a person's at, we like to say, okay, let's chat about your life. How do you feel about it? What do you want to do? Let's break it down step by step and make sure you dial in all 5 life areas. Sooner you could do it in life, like from the beginning of life, from the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Daddy, mommy, why does this happen? Why does this happen? What does this mean? What is that? Make sure you have good, solid answers for the kids, so they can map out in their mind how things work and how to navigate. Right? Very important. That the school system doesn't provide that basic 5-area life plan is just catastrophic. Why that isn't taught? Because in India, this is a fascinating insight. They have what's called the Gurukul system. Guru and Kul. Kul was inherited by the West, and they called it school.
Ooh.
So school actually comes from Sanskrit, cool. But here they've taken the guru out. So they have a school but no guru.
Wouldn't the gurus be the teachers? Wouldn't you say?
They're guides. They're people who lead you from ignorance to knowledge,
Got it.
from the darkness of ignorance to the light of wisdom.
Okay.
That's why in India they have the Gurukul system implemented from the age of 5. But nowadays, even now in India, unfortunately, it's a mixed bag because they've also taken a lot of materialistic influences from the West. And you have to look for that. You really have to look for a good school that has a guru from the beginning.
Mm.
Gurus don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't beat up their wives. Yeah. They can't do that because that's going to have
You
an influence on.
shouldn't.
I'm just being open, just
Yeah.
transparent. You
Gosh.
you cannot behave like that with
Yeah.
kids because they pull your energy. They suck your electromagnetic energy. They call it psychic osmosis. The examples that are around the kid are absolutely critical when they're young. Because they're going to pull the energy. And if they see daddy smoking, they'll think, that's okay, it's acceptable for me to smoke because I've seen daddy do it. Or mummy drinking, it's okay for me to drink. My mummy was drinking all the time. Right? That's why you need proper teachers who are like guru level to help guide the children in a healthy, positive direction.
Hmm. That's very interesting, and that's great to know. So while we're talking or going to see what we have on any of the shows, if there's any questions or things that people would like addressed, um, can you? I know the positive impact. I don't want to say it's infinite, but the positive impact of the metaphysics, understanding metaphysics and utilizing it in your life, everyday life, is outstep. Just great. I'm lacking words here, people. So, are there specific areas that with people that you've worked with, Raj, you've seen an improvement or they've communicated an improvement? I do know the 333 method works great for insomnia, right? You can talk a little bit about that or a lot about that if you want to. But are
Sure.
there other areas? Because humans sometimes get very, um, they get very, they hang on to things that they can see improve. That's why we have reviews for products. So is there anything that you can share with us or our listeners or viewers about the impact that this has made in people's lives that they've communicated to you?
Yeah. Yes. I
um,
think
they get very, they hang on to sorry.
it's okay.
There, I was just trying to see if there were any posts. Go ahead.
That's okay. Um, so, what would the question be? Is it like what would we focus on as the question?
Like what are the things that people have communicated to you that since they have gone on learning how to utilize metaphysics in their lives, what has improved health, um, interpersonal skills, whatever that is, and
Yeah.
all of the above, because people tend to hang on to those things. It's like, okay, who has this helped, right? And also talk about the 333 method if you don't mind.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, we're taking a slightly different approach. It's been long overdue,
Yeah,
to be honest, because
right.
people have suffered for nothing for way too long.
Mm,
And our approach is quite revolutionary in
okay.
the sense that we don't go from the body to the spirit, we go from the spirit to the body.
Okay.
Right? So some people talk, we love these conversations because we have them all day, every day, with everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm serious about that. It's a fun thing to do because do you build your house from the roof down or from the foundation up?
From the foundation up.
Yeah, right. But now the question comes is what is the foundation? Is it the body or the spirit?
The spirit.
There you go. So that's building from the foundation up. But what if you don't have a spiritual life or a spiritual awareness? Then what?
Then you work to achieve it, no?
You're body bound. Yeah, you're focused on the thing that is not the most important thing.
Okay.
So your consciousness now gets trapped into thinking the body's the most important thing when it's actually the least important thing. Because where does the mind come into all of this?
The mind is kind of like the windows and the doors, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So to answer your question, just the reason why I said that is just to kind of broaden the scope
Right.
of how we think. So when it comes to how people improved, we release chemicals from the brain, neurotransmitters, neurochemicals such as endorphins, which are pain relieving chemicals, hormones, serotonin and dopamine, which are happy feel good hormones.
Mm.
We also release anandamide, which is a further development compared to what we did last time. So anandamide means bliss. Ananda comes from the Sanskrit word bliss. So when we release anandamide, it's a bliss molecule that lives in your brain.
Mm.
Every human being has a bliss molecule in their brain. So why would a human being have a bliss molecule in their brain if they were not designed to be happy?
And I think that conflicts with depressive episodes. So if that molecule is there, why do we have serious and sometimes mild, depending on the season, episodes that are
Yeah,
depressive in nature?
yes, yeah. But when we release these chemicals in the brain, it counteracts all of those negative effects that people feel miserable about, whether it's depression, ADHD, insomnia, and we'll get into that because you talked about it. Things like stress and anxiety, to the extreme extent. There's so many other problems that come from that, relationship problems, addictions, violence, misunderstandings, remorse, all kinds of terrible things happen when you're not in a good state, when you don't feel good. You just don't act well, you don't think well, you don't feel well. So you just act out on people and you don't know why you're behaving like that. And because it's not accepted in society now, doctors will have to force you to go on pills to try to control your mind. So this is where when we release chemicals from the brain, we also activate the vagus nerve, which is part of the parasympathetic nervous system to rest, heal, digest, deep sleep, recover from injury, wounds, surgeries, abuse, all these kinds of deeply held hidden traumas can be healed if you know how to do it and release the vagus nerve and activate the vagus nerve. So when we do all of these things, now the whole entire person feels much, much better. And then the healing process starts to take place because all of these hormones are being released into the bloodstream. When you release these endorphins and these wonderful brain chemicals into the bloodstream, you now start to alkalize your blood. So acidity causes inflammation, which causes all kinds of cancers and all kinds of difficult to treat problems. But if you alkalize the blood, all of these disease problems are now reversed in effect. It's a science. It's a
Mhm.
science. So that's what we help people do. Some people don't want to transform to that extent. That's fine. Whatever you want to improve, if it's an addiction, if it's because you're just depressed, is it because you just have stress and anxiety that gets a little bit out of control? Just tell us what you're trying to do, and we can match the program and the course to achieve what you need it to achieve. Because not everyone wants to transcend. Not everyone wants to be religious. Not everyone wants to be a yogi. Not everyone wants to study metaphysics like me for 30 years or whatever. They just need what they want for now, and that's enough.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Again, not everybody has the bandwidth to go through what is required, and that's okay, right? Yeah, dedicating yourself to study something deeply, and with all the requirement that goes with that, I don't think a lot of people are completely cut out to do that, and they know that for themselves, and they're honest with themselves. However, understanding how to utilize it to better your life, I think, is more than enough. Everything is not for everybody, and that's understandable, as long as you're honest with yourself. So I don't want to miss out on you talking about the 333 process, and how he's helping people improve sleep, especially sleep, insomnia, related sleep disturbances.
Yes. So insomnia has been a really, interesting one because there's about 800 million people on the planet with insomnia and sleeping disorders. So it's about a tenth of the world's population suffering from sleeping disorders. When they try this method, the 3-3 metaverse breathing method that you were alluding to, um, they fall asleep within 30 to 90 seconds. And when they say, "Oh, I've been a hardcore insomniac for 5 or 10 or 15 years, and I've been taking Zopicone or which other antidepressant meds and so on," the reason why this works so well is because it releases all of those 4 brain chemicals or neurotransmitters that we talked about, and the vagus nerve activates all of that in one smooth, easy, quick method. That's very elegant. And because it leverages all of these things at once, it saves a lot of time in a compressed period. You can get a huge result. Because you're leveraging nature through your nervous system and your immune system. That's all you're doing. You're leveraging all the power, channeling it through yourself for a huge impact. That's the levers. That's the leverage levers you're looking for. That's it.
It's beautiful. So, Raj, have you had, any medical professionals? So, I'm talking about doctors, hospital systems. You've mentioned a pharmaceutical that works with you, or you've had connections with. Have you had more medical practitioners, reach out to you to help give their patients a lot of these practices to improve their lives, because more and more doctors are recognizing the integrative and holistic practices, in collaboration with whatever treatment the patient has to get them to a place of, a healthy lifestyle or recovery. So, can you talk to us about that journey?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, for us, it's an intriguing and sometimes even entertaining conversation because we speak to NHS, which is in the UK, National Health Service practitioners, and even they amongst themselves they're divided amongst unfortunately, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Some will go towards pharmaceutical, so no, you need these prescriptions, you have to have it, you have to take it for 10 years, and we're like, well, what about all the built-in pharmacy in your brain? What about that? You're not addressing any of that. So you have some who are not willing to explore this, and you have several who are now branching out of the old way of doing things and now saying, look, I've been a medical doctor for 40 years. I never had any breakthroughs. My patients never get better. When I die, what am I going to say to my creator? Like, oh yeah, I gave them pills, but did they ever get better? No. Well, you better do something different then. So we move towards this other conversation where there are doctors who are thinking differently. They go to India, they study with the yogis a little bit. They start to think, what do they know that we don't know? Because they can live 120 years, 300 years in their bodies, and they don't eat food. Like, what are they doing exactly? So some people are a bit more enlightened, like the Greg Bradens of this world, like the Bruce Liptons, like the Joe Dispensers. They talk about more this stuff.
Right.
So doctors are approaching us, and we are having, some cohorts trials done to help more people with things like insomnia and stress, and give them a drug-free alternative. So it's a very exciting time. Uh, we're very, very happy to bring people together, to connect people. We don't like it that people suffer for nothing. Like, if you're in a family and your father suffers from stress, he takes meds, it becomes chronic, he has to be taken to hospital, he might be on a respirator. This is it's an endless struggle, and the family suffers terribly as a result. But what if we can reverse that and say, look, all of you feel good, you're all releasing your own pharmacy of mastery from your brain, and you're all enjoying your life and having energy, disease free, drug free, side effect free. Wouldn't that bring a big smile to the planet if everybody started doing these things? So yeah, we are consulting with more and more medical doctors and
Yeah. I know more and more medical doctors. Even, I'm glad you mentioned a 40 years practitioner, and it brings me great joy when I see that level of change or integration, because it's not easy to deviate from a practice you've known for a very long time, right? And also, it creates this bond between the patients and their doctors, where the patients do not have to practice in secrecy, right? Like people fear judgment, people fear, being criticized,
yeah,
when your doctor or your nurse practitioner or whatever specialty it is able to respect the practice, that the natural practices you're integrating into your life to remain healthy. It makes things easier because you can talk openly, you can be honest about what's working and what's not working, right? Even something like acupuncture, right? Acupuncture is something that has you know helped a lot of people achieve so many things, even with infertility, stress management, GI upset, whatever, right? It's all about energetically aligning people, right? So it makes me very happy to hear doctors recognizing that, hey, in addition to this surgery that had to be done to um, correct the small bowel obstruction, you have other things that we can integrate into the practice to help you heal better from the surgery, to get you back on your feet and get you back to life in no time. So that's quite exciting to hear.
absolutely. I think when you look at how the bloodstream works, for example, if you can remove the causes of illness and disease by alkalinity, changing your diet to a more plant-based diet, I think that has a big effect on your sleep, on your energy, on your emotional state as well. And when you add in the breath to that and do the breathing sequences and release, as we said, again, the brain chemicals, you can't ignore the brain chemicals, right? You stimulate them in a soft, gentle way, and you have a cascade of all these neurotransmitters coming through your bloodstream. That is what I feel is having the biggest impact on the largest number of people in a simple, easy way. So yes, the doctors are becoming more aware that healthier naturopathic, homeopathic methods and acupuncture and cupping and those things are important. But do they have something specific that can work for everybody across the board, that most people can apply, regardless of their level of experience?
Hmm.
So with us, we know a lot of people don't want to be yogis. They don't want to say, oh, I need to learn diaphragmatic breathing. I need to learn belly breathing. I need to learn clavicular breathing. They're not interested, right? They're not. But most people, if you say, if I give you 30 to 90 seconds, if you give me 30 to 90 seconds, and I will heal or give you a solution for your insomnia, or your money back, for example. The Americans love an elevator pitch. What do you do, Raj? They ask me in America, because we're from London, we don't have an elevator pitch, right? But in America, what's your elevator pitch? I said, what's that? Just tell me in a snapshot what you do. I'm like, oh, shoot, okay. Let me get that together for you. So we help people with insomnia and sleeping disorders overcome the condition within 30 to 90 seconds or your money back. Done. And they're like, the Americans, they love that. So
Fast-paced people, we need to think
yeah,
on our feet. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Was really, cool, because I can't wait to post the episode, and my prayer is that everybody enjoyed it quite as much as I did. Even learning is not easy. Practicing on a deeper level is not easy. It takes dedication and time. However, learning what you need for you in minutes, seconds is worth it, right? If you want to go deeper, you can go deeper. However, what you need to maintain your life, that there's a word in science, homeostasis. To maintain that homeostasis, the stability that everybody craves, and that stability is used in so many industry. So in the work setting, in the corporate environment, we have the work life balance. So everybody's looking for that balance, everybody's looking to attain that balance. How beautiful for you to have your own balance.
I just want to leave if we're about to sign off in a moment. I mean,
Yes.
um, I had a funny experience when I was very young,
Huh?
and it completely changed how I would evolve. So one day I was moving from one class to another class when I was about 11 years old, and the sunlight was streaming through the windows of the school. And a voice said to me, the knowledge you're going to get from that class and that class and that class is already all around you. And I was like, what? Who said that? And I realized that, yeah, where does the knowledge come from?
Right.
Why do I have to keep going to different classes to get little pieces of knowledge? Little piece here, little piece there. And in my brain, I'm all confused because it's all compartmentalized. Everything is divided into little boxes. But the brain, yeah, the mind is not like that. The mind is all encompassing. If you have one teacher who knows a whole lot about everything, you can learn everything from one teacher, right? Because electromagnetically, the conversations, the communication, you pull everything out from one person if he knows
Yeah.
a lot about different subjects.
Yeah.
So that's what I realized. You can learn a lot from one or two very, very dialed in, enlightened type of beings than you ever would from the mass of humanity who are all confused and struggling with trying to think. How do I think? What should I think? I don't know. Like, it's not taught. So I just want to share that with you.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And learning is hard, finding the right source to learn. And it's not wrong for you to kind of like listen to different people and see who speaks to you, who you feel you can learn from. Again, I teach, not every student can learn from me, and I cannot teach every student. And that is my solace with walking to any classroom. Um, so, as we're signing off, thank you everybody who tuned in to listen to our live. And Raj, just one more time, please, for anybody who came in the middle of this live session, please, 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 can you let everybody know where we can find you, websites, social media, whatever, and what the offers and services are?
Okay. So the best place to go is keepfitkingdom.com. That's the main website. On there is a tab called the 3-3 Insomnia Hack, which is very much what we're getting known for globally. It's more for that than anything else because we're experts at that, and it's having the quickest life transformation effects on most people, hands down. So they click that tab, they'll find testimonials. They can email us. They can buy the tutorial product. It's really, really, low cost. It's like $55 or something. I think they got to put it up really soon because it's worth way more than that. But just to get people started and helping them realize that there are easier ways than going through big pharma. Um, they can email us, they can WhatsApp us, you can find us on social media, same name, same handle, Keep Fit Kingdom across the board everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. So yeah,
Beautiful.
those are the best
Please
places.
go look for Keep the Kingdom and explore, ask questions, and you're just only gonna learn. That's it. All right. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Raj, for being here. This was incredible.
Great
And
pleasure. Thank you.
take care, everybody.